Hello and welcome. I'm Pallavi Sharma and you're watching Biz World Weekly, a show where we bring you the top stories of the week from across the world. Let's start with the market check. Indian equity indices ended on a weak note. Sensex was down 0.43% at 76,059.77 points, and Nifty was down 0.43% at 23,767.45 points. Top Nifty losers were Bajaj Finance, Eternal, M&M, Shriram Finance and Bharti Airtel, where the gainers included HCL Technologies, Wipro, Cipla, ITC and HDFC Life. Sectoral performance remained mixed, with Nifty Media emerging as the top gainer, raising 1.8%, followed by Nifty IT up 0.8%, Nifty PSU Bank which gained 0.5% and Nifty Bank up 0.18%. On the downside, Nifty Auto was the worst performing sector, followed by Nifty Metal, Nifty Energy, Nifty Oil and Gas and Nifty Pharma. The broader markets also recovered from their intraday lows, with Nifty Midcap 100 ending on a flat note and Nifty Small Cap 100 closing 0.3% lower. Indian rupee ended flat at 96.57 per dollar on Friday. These days, when you open your social media account to chill after a hard day at work, all you see is the Jantar Mantar protest. No matter who you are, what side you support, the feed is full of either memes, serious clashes at the protest site, or even concert at the protest site. There were many protests in the past. This one feels different from a generation view, and also feels a little close to heart. But why? Let's start with the beginning. CJP, or Cockroach Janata Party, started as a satire to Chief Justice of India's remarks. He allegedly compared the unemployed youth of India to parasites or cockroaches, and hence the name. Very quickly, the satire page turned into a movement. It gained millions of followers on Instagram, surpassing the followers of official BJP and INC accounts. Then came the NEET paper leak, and the Cockroach Janata Party started an online movement demanding the resignation of the Education Minister of India, Dharmendra Pradhan. Even educator Sonam Wangchuk supported the youth movement and started a hunger strike at Delhi's Jantar Mantar. It was peaceful protest until July 20th. So what happened that day? The protesters organized a march to the parliament demanding the resignation of the education minister, as the anger grew when Sonam Wangchuk was taken to the hospital. Some claim that he was peacefully escorted. Protesters say that it was forceful. On the day of the march, the protesters clashed with the Delhi police and there was chaos. Stones were pelted, tear gas was fired. Videos of Delhi police's lathi charge went viral on social media. The Delhi police claimed that the protesters did not take permission for the march, and also claimed that no violence started from the police's side. The protesters had a different story though. They said that the police got violent with the protesters first. But the bigger question was raised on the police, who were not in their uniforms. Many videos circulating on social media show plainclothes officers carrying lathis charging against the protesters. The police says that the officers were deployed to collect information, and to do so they need to operate covertly. Now, what does the law say? There's no clear law on police officials deployed in crowd control or protests in uniform, but in certain situations where intelligence collection is involved, they are permitted to hide their identification and even impersonate. However, the Delhi police, after July 20th incident, has asked its personnel to show up in proper uniforms only. That day, several protesters and police officers were injured and required medication. So what happened after that? The situation was contained by evening, but protesters returned to the protest site and became a national movement as students in different cities in the country, across cities, came out on the streets to protest. Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave a statement on the situation, saying that the security of the students is utmost important for the government and that the issue will be discussed widely in the parliament. He assured that the accused will be punished by the law. Sonam Wangchuk also ended his hunger strike after 26 days after the government in writing assured the educator and scientist to introduce a new anti-paper leak bill in the parliament. The latest on this is that the bill has been approved by the cabinet that includes harsher penalties, time-bound trials through fast-track special courts, and stronger accountability measures for institutions and individuals involved in such crimes. The government also assured that no violent actions against peacefully protesting students will be taken. Wangchuk too assured to the government that he would continue to advocate dialogue and discourage any attempts by anti-social elements to derail the movement, and asked protesters to remain patient as discussions with centre move forward. So what are the CJP's demands now after all this? The first and the lasting demand is the resignation of the education minister. And they also demand that the families of every student who lost their lives due to the NEET paper leak get adequate compensation. These are the key demands of CJP, and they say that the protest will not end till Dharmendra Pradhan resigns. But why? Well, it's not just about one paper leak. In June 2024, the UGC NET was cancelled due to a leak. Then in July 2024, NEET paper was scrapped due to the leak. Then this year too, in May 2026, NEET exam was cancelled again. And this time the protest is different because people across the country are able to relate to it. Young parents are protesting for the future of their children. Students are protesting because of the paper leak, and even influencers and celebrities are backing the movement. Some are asking the students to protest peacefully. So sure, the protest is turning political. Opposition is now involved. Some anti-national elements are trying to sabotage the protest, but at the end, the innocent students who joined the movement only demand a better education system. And after this new bill being approved by the cabinet, we have to see if the government bows down to the demands of CJP and gets Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation, or the protesters and the CJP agree to what the government is giving them apart from the Dharmendra Pradhan resignation. Wars are fought on battlefields, but they're also fought with money. And the latest US-Iran conflict has come with a staggering price tag. According to new estimates, the war has already cost tens of billions of dollars, putting fresh pressure on America's defense budget. So where did all that money go? And can US afford another prolonged conflict? Our next report has the details.
The United States has spent $37.5 billion on its war against Iran. That's roughly 3.2 lakh crore, an amount larger than the annual GDP of several countries. And the shocking part? The Pentagon says it needs billions more to keep the war going. So where is all this money going? The true financial cost of the Iran war is now becoming impossible to ignore. During a tense hearing before the U.S. Senate, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth revealed that the war has already cost the United States $37.5 billion. This figure includes money already spent, as well as projected expenses until the end of the current fiscal year. But the Pentagon says this isn't enough. The Trump administration is now seeking an additional $90 billion in emergency funding, with a major portion meant to support military operations against Iran. According to Hegseth, the Pentagon could face serious budget shortfalls within weeks if Congress doesn't approve fresh funds. The request has triggered fierce political debate in Washington. Democratic lawmakers questioned why the administration is asking for billions more without clearly explaining its long-term strategy. They also challenged how the Pentagon calculated the $37.5 billion figure, pointing out that earlier estimates suggested the first few days of the conflict alone had already cost over $11 billion. Meanwhile, the human cost is also mounting. The conflict has claimed the lives of 18 American service members, with hundreds more injured, as fighting between U.S. and Iranian forces continues following the collapse of an earlier ceasefire. And this isn't just a military issue anymore. The war has become a major political challenge for President Donald Trump ahead of the upcoming midterm elections. Rising military spending, higher fuel prices, and concerns over an open-ended conflict are all becoming key issues in American politics. The Iran war is no longer measured only in missiles and military strikes. It's also being measured in billions of taxpayer dollars, rising casualties, and growing political pressure.
Pakistan believes that it has helped prevent a bigger war in Middle East even though the war has begun again. Now it has asked to be paid for this. Islamabad has reportedly asked the United States for a massive $10 billion financial lifeline after playing mediator between Washington and Tehran. But this is a diplomatic reward or a geopolitical brokerage fee. Pakistan has quietly approached the United States with a request for $10 billion exchange stabilization facility, a financial backstop designed to strengthen Pakistan's foreign exchange reserves, stabilize the Pakistani rupee, and reduce its dependence on emergency bailouts from institutions like IMF. The proposal reportedly has a repayment period of up to 5 years and was presented during Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb's visit to Washington. So why is Pakistan asking such a huge amount now? The timing is no coincidence. During the recent US-Iran conflict, Pakistan emerged as an unexpected diplomatic player. Islamabad hosted talks, facilitated communication between both sides, and also played a key role in efforts that eventually led to a ceasefire. Pakistan now believes that this diplomatic success has earned it goodwill in Washington. Critics, however, are calling this request a brokerage fee, suggesting Islamabad is trying to convert its mediation role into financial benefits. Pakistan certainly has reasons to seek outside support. Its economy remains fragile despite being under a $7 billion IMF program. Inflation, external debt, pressure on foreign exchange reserves, and weak currency continue to challenge the government. Islamabad hopes that direct American support would not only strengthen its reserves but also reduce its dependence on IMF, China, and Saudi Arabia for emergency financing. But getting this money won't be easy. Economists remain skeptical that simply injecting more cash will solve Pakistan's long-term economic problems. Many argue that Pakistan's real issues lie in structural reforms, improving tax collection, fixing the energy sector, and reforming state-owned enterprises. Without those changes, fresh money may provide temporary relief, but won't create sustainable growth. The United States also has its own calculations to make. While rewarding Pakistan's diplomatic role could strengthen ties with an important regional partner, Washington may be reluctant to hand over such a huge financial package without strict conditions. US officials have publicly praised Pakistan's recent economic reforms, but have also emphasized the need for greater economic self-reliance and continued commitment to IMF-backed reforms. If approved, this would mark one of the biggest direct US financial support packages ever offered to Pakistan outside traditional IMF channels. If rejected, it would highlight the limits of diplomatic goodwill in international politics. For decades, Saudi Arabia relied on oil to power its economy. Now it wants to become a major player in nuclear energy, and helping make that happen is none other than Donald Trump. The proposed US-Saudi nuclear deal could reshape the Middle East energy landscape, but it's also raising concerns about nuclear proliferation, regional security, and potential arms race with Iran. So what exactly is in this landmark agreement? Our next report tells you more.
The United States has signed one of its most controversial nuclear agreements in decades, and this time the partner is Saudi Arabia. Supporters say it's about clean energy and strategic influence,
Critics warn it could trigger a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. So, what exactly is in Donald Trump's nuclear deal with Saudi Arabia? The agreement is a 30-year civilian nuclear cooperation deal, often referred to as a 123 agreement. It allows the United States to help Saudi Arabia build its nuclear energy sector by supplying technology, reactors, and expertise. The deal is worth tens of billions of dollars and gives American companies a leading role in developing the kingdom's nuclear infrastructure. Saudi Arabia says it needs nuclear power to diversify its economy under Vision 2030, reduce dependence on oil for electricity generation, and free up more crude for exports. For Washington, the agreement is also about geopolitics. If the US doesn't partner with Riyadh, China or Russia could step in and dominate Saudi Arabia's nuclear sector. But the biggest controversy revolves around uranium enrichment. Unlike previous US agreements with countries such as the UAE, this deal leaves open the possibility that Saudi Arabia could enrich uranium on its own soil in the future. While enriched uranium is essential for nuclear power plants, the same technology can also be used to produce material for nuclear weapons if taken to higher levels. The Trump administration insists that safeguards will prevent any military use and says American oversight will ensure the technology is not misused. However, critics argue that the agreement does not include the strictest international inspection standards seen in earlier nuclear deals. That has raised concerns among lawmakers and non-proliferation experts. The timing also adds to the controversy. The deal comes after heightened tensions over Iran's nuclear program. So while the Trump-Saudi nuclear deal promises energy security, billions in business, and stronger strategic ties, it also raises a critical question. Is this a breakthrough for peaceful nuclear cooperation, or the beginning of a new nuclear race in the Middle East?
For years, the Houthis were seen as just another rebel group fighting a civil war in Yemen. But today, they have become one of the biggest threats to global trade, oil supplies, and even some of the world's most powerful militaries. Armed with drones, ballistic missiles, and anti-ship weapons, Houthis can disrupt shipping across the Red Sea and shake the global economy. The Houthis, officially known as Ansar Allah, emerged in northern Yemen during the 1990s as a regional and political movement. What began as a domestic conflict has now evolved into a regional and global security challenge because the Houthis are backed by Iran, which has supplied them with weapons, training, and military technology. The biggest advantage isn't just manpower, it's geography. The Houthis control large parts of Yemen's western coastline overlooking the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. The narrow waterway connects the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden and serves as a gateway to the Suez Canal. Nearly 12% of global trade and a significant share of world's oil shipments pass through this route. That means a relatively small armed group can threaten one of the planet's most critical maritime choke points. But how can a non-state group challenge major naval powers? The answer lies in its growing arsenal. The Houthis possess short and medium-range ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, long-range attack drones, anti-ship cruise missiles, naval drones, sea mines, and sophisticated air defense systems. Many of these weapons are believed to be based on Iranian designs or supplied with Iranian assistance. Instead of relying on expensive fighter jets or warships, the Houthis use relatively cheap drones and missiles to force billion-dollar navies into costly defensive operations. This strategy has dramatically changed the economics of modern warfare. The Houthis have also mastered asymmetric warfare. Rather than confronting powerful militaries directly, they attack commercial ships, energy infrastructure, and strategic maritime routes. These disruptions ripple across global supply chains, raising freight costs and putting upward pressure on inflation worldwide. Their influence extends far beyond Yemen. Along with Hezbollah in Lebanon and several Iraqi militias, the Houthis are part of what is often called as Iran's axis of resistance. This network allows Tehran to project military pressure across the Middle East without engaging directly. That's why every major crisis involving Iran now raises concerns about Houthi involvement. Donald Trump has imposed a fresh round of tariffs on more than 80 countries. But while many nations have been hit with duties up to 12.5%, India has been placed in the lower 10% tariff category. So why did India get a better deal? The Trump administration has announced a new tariff regime covering imports from across the world. The tariffs, which come into effect immediately, range between 10% to 12.5% and are aimed at countries that US says have not done enough to stop goods made with forced labor from entering global supply chains. The biggest surprise, however, is India. Instead of facing the higher 12.5% tariff, India has been placed in the 10% bracket. According to the Trump administration, countries that have strengthened their laws and enforcement against forced labor imports qualified for the lower rate. Washington believes that India has taken meaningful steps in this direction, giving it an advantage over several other major trading partners. But that's not the only reason. India and the United States are also in the final stages of negotiating a comprehensive bilateral trade agreement. Both sides have been trying to resolve market access issues, reduce trade barriers, and expand bilateral commerce. US officials have already indicated that the deal could be signed within the next few months. Giving India the lower tariff rate is being seen as a signal that Washington wants to keep those negotiations on track rather than escalate trade tensions further. That doesn't mean that Indian exporters are completely safe though. A 10% is still an additional cost for Indian products entering the American markets. Sectors like engineering goods, textile, chemicals, and other manufactured exports could still feel some pressure. However, compared to countries paying 12.5%, Indian exporters retain a pricing advantage, making them relatively more competitive in the US market. The bigger picture is that Trump's tariffs policy has changed its focus. Instead of targeting only trade deficits, the new tariffs are linked to labor standards and supply chain practices as well. Countries that cooperate with US demands receive a lower tariff, while others face steeper duties. For India, the lower 10% tariff is good news, but it isn't the end of the story. The real prize is the India-US trade deal, which could remove many trade barriers altogether. Iran has found a way to keep its oil flowing even under heavy US sanctions. During a brief pause in Washington's crackdown, Tehran quietly moved billions of dollars worth of crude oil to China using a secretive network of tankers known as Shadow Fleet. The operation highlights how sanctions are becoming increasingly difficult to enforce and how China remains a crucial economic lifeline for Iran. So what exactly is Iran's Shadow Fleet and how did it pull off a massive oil operation? Our next report explains.
While the world was watching missiles, sanctions, and warships in the Middle East, Iran quietly pulled off a multi-billion-dollar oil operation. During a brief pause in US pressure, Tehran reportedly shipped nearly $6 billion worth of crude oil to China, using a secretive network of tankers known as the Shadow Fleet. So how did it happen? According to a report cited by the Wall Street Journal, Iran took full advantage of a short-lived easing of the US naval blockade and sanctions. In just about a month, nearly 20 Iranian tankers transported around 70 million barrels of crude oil, worth an estimated $5 to $6 billion towards Asia, with China being the final destination. But this wasn't a straightforward oil trade. Iran relied on its so-called Shadow Fleet, a network of aging tankers that often change names, flags, ownership details, and even switch off their tracking systems to avoid detection. Once the oil reached waters near Malaysia, it was transferred from one ship to another in the open sea. This process helps disguise the oil's Iranian origin before it is shipped onward to Chinese refineries. Why China? because despite US sanctions, China remains the largest buyer of Iranian crude. Much of this oil ends up in independent Chinese refineries, often called teapot refineries, which continue purchasing discounted Iranian crude. Officially, China hasn't reported importing Iranian oil for years, but analysts say the trade has continued through indirect routes. The timing was crucial. Iran knew the relaxation of restrictions wouldn't last forever, so it rushed as many shipments as possible before Washington restored pressure. That massive export drive has likely given Tehran billions of dollars in fresh revenue, money that could help cushion its economy against renewed sanctions. For the United States, this highlights just how difficult it is to completely choke off Iran's oil exports. Even with sanctions and naval patrols, shadow shipping networks continue finding new ways to keep crude flowing. The bigger story isn't just about oil. It's about a global game of sanctions, surveillance, and strategy, where every temporary opening becomes an opportunity worth billions of dollars.
Imagine getting a job offer abroad as a security guard, warehouse worker, or construction laborer. You apply, receive a tourist visa, land in Russia, and within days, you're handed a military uniform and sent to fight on the front lines in Ukraine. It sounds unbelievable, but investigators say that this is exactly how thousands of foreign nationals are being recruited into Russia's war. As the war with Ukraine enters another year, Russia is increasingly relying on foreign recruits to replenish its forces. But according to multiple investigations, not everyone who ends up on the battlefield signs up to be a soldier. Many are allegedly lured through fake job advertisements promising high-paying civilian jobs in construction, logistics, security, or agriculture. Others are attracted by offers of Russian citizenship or better economic opportunities. Once they arrive in Russia, many discover that the job they were promised doesn't exist at all. Instead, they are pressured or in some cases forced into signing military contracts they often cannot even read. Investigators say that the recruitment network stretches across more than 130 countries, targeting economically vulnerable people in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Tourist visas are commonly used because they allow recruits to enter Russia legally without raising suspicion. After arrival, passports may be confiscated, contracts are presented in Russian, and many recruits find themselves with little choice but to join the military. Human rights groups argue that in several cases, these tactics resemble human trafficking rather than voluntary military recruitment. Some of the most disturbing accounts come from survivors who managed to return home. Several have claimed that they were treated as expendable soldiers and deployed to some of the most dangerous front lines. They describe receiving minimal training before facing drone attacks, artillery fire, and land mines. Many suffered serious injuries while others never returned. Families across countries such as Nepal, India, Bangladesh, Kenya, and Cuba have reported missing relatives who traveled abroad believing they were being taken for civilian jobs. Russia, however, maintains that foreign nationals serving in its army forces are volunteers who joined under Russian law. Moscow has denied allegations of forced recruitment and insists that those who sign military contracts do so willingly. But human rights organizations argue that consent obtained through deception, fake employment offers cannot be considered genuine consent. The story highlights a darker side of modern warfare. Today's conflicts are no longer fought only by citizens of the countries involved. Economic hardship, migration, and organized recruitment networks have created a global pool of vulnerable people who can be drawn into wars they never intended to fight. The ultra-rich have found a new way to escape record-breaking heat waves, and it's not by flying to the Alps. Instead, they are bringing winter into their homes. Billionaires across the West are spending millions to build indoor snow rooms complete with real snowfall and sub-zero temperatures. So why are snow rooms becoming the hottest new obsession of the world's wealthiest? Our next report explains.
The latest obsession of the ultra-rich in the West isn't a supercar, a private island, or even a luxury bunker. It's something far more unusual. A room where it snows, inside the house. As record-breaking heat waves grip Europe and the US, billionaires are spending over $130,000, or more than 1 crore rupees, to build private snow rooms that recreate winter all year round. So what exactly is happening? While most people rely on air conditioners and fans to survive rising temperatures, the world's wealthiest are redesigning their homes to create their own climate. According to recent reports, luxury architects are seeing a surge in demand for homes that can adapt to extreme weather. These aren't just bigger houses, they're climate-controlled experiences. But the biggest trend grabbing attention is the snow room. Imagine a cave-like room covered in ice, with temperatures well below freezing and artificial snow gently falling from the ceiling. These rooms are usually part of luxurious wellness suites that also include ice baths, cold plunges, and premium spa facilities. The trend isn't entirely new. Mukesh Ambani's Mumbai residence Antilia has long been known to feature a snow room. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's super yacht Serene also reportedly has one. But now, luxury home designers say demand is rising as extreme heat becomes more common. And snow rooms are only one part of the story. Some wealthy homeowners are building entire underground retreats because temperatures below the Earth's surface remain naturally cooler throughout the year. Others are buying homes in cooler destinations like Switzerland, Canada, and New Zealand, allowing them to literally move with the seasons and escape summer altogether. The bigger question, however, isn't whether these ideas are luxurious, it's what they reveal about our future. As climate change makes heat waves more frequent and intense, the gap between how different people cope with extreme weather is becoming increasingly visible. While millions struggle with rising temperatures, power shortages, and expensive electricity bills, a handful can simply build winter inside their homes.
That's all for this week. I will see you in the next. Keep watching NEET Now for more such news and views.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.